Welcome to Inspired by Design, the podcast where we explore the tools, stories, and insights to help you rediscover your authentic self and navigate life with less resistance. I'm Katie Rupert, a former hustle and grind overachiever on a thrilling and messy journey. I'd love to share what I'm learning and help others in self-discovery using human design. So, if you're seeking a way to move forward, let me be your weekly mindset coach and share stories to inspire you to action towards your unique purpose without the force or burnout. Hello and welcome back. I am excited about today's episode. Last month, I did a contest where you could get entered to win a free mini human design session with me. And Rosemary was our winner for that. I asked her if she was willing to share our conversations so that you could get some insight into what is a human design reading anyway? And what does that feel like? We did a mini session with her. Those run about 30 minutes. It's got right now, as its price is $56 to do that. And I am so excited that she was willing to let us listen in. I enjoyed this conversation so much because Rosemary is clearly a wise guide in our world. And she had a lot of wisdom to share about motherhood, about her own reflections on being a projector. And she didn't know much about human design when we started this. So it was really fun to share that. But then for me, as the one giving this information, seeing how she related to it and having her examples was really a neat way to help you guys understand more about a projector being from a projector instead of just, I have the manifesting generator perspective on everything. So it's really fun to get to hear the different types share their experiences. I did the first several episodes of this podcast scared, right? It was like, me, Katie, you're just going to have to rip the Band-Aid off and make it happen. And so I did it. I was like, whatever, I don't care how messy it is. I'm just going to get these episodes out. And so instead of doing the strategic planning piece that I was taught and that everyone says you quote unquote should do, I just got that first episode out there. And then I did the next episode and the next. So I didn't really get a chance to strategically think about how can I let my friends, family, and acquaintances that I know and love know that I'm doing this podcast. And I want it to go back and officially let May be the launch and do it in a little bit more formal way. So when you share the podcast, you can take a screenshot of an episode, you can share the link, and then just tag me on either Instagram or Facebook. When I see that tag, you'll get entered to win this mini session. And the other thing you can do is submit questions about your human design, like curiosities, whatever you're curious about human design, or it could also be anything in that life coaching realm that you have questions about. So when you submit a question, if your question is chosen, it may be part of, or it could be an episode on its own. And I can give you a shout out there too. The last way you can get entered to win the free mini session from me would be to attend my new masterclass called Overwhelm is Not a Badge of Honor. It's completely free, and it's 3 days of teaching where I'll talk about moving from chaos to calm, about keeping energy in your body, and then we'll talk about how human design can help you make quick shifts. So if those topics are of interest to you, you can register. We'll kick that off on May 30th, and it will go through June 4th. Anybody that attends those sessions will get entered, and if you register for the event as well. So you can find all of this information in the show notes, how to get your questions answered, your registration form. Also, if you enjoy the podcast and you think, oh my goodness, I definitely want to set up a mini session with Katie and do that 25, 30 minutes and get a breakdown like Rosemary did, then make sure that you check that link out as well. I would love to do that with you. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Rosemary. I hope you enjoy our conversation and hearing about her chart, and I hope that it gives you some insight. I'm really excited to share this little mini human design chart breakdown with you. And thank you so much for your review and listening to the podcast and your support. Of course, when you're launching something like that, it's all new territory. It's like going out into the unknown. So your support is definitely noticed and it means a ton. So thank you. Thank you. And congrats on being the winner.
Yeah, thank you for choosing me. I'm excited to learn more.
Good. Me too. What you're seeing right now is your body graph from your human design chart. So we put in your birthplace and time and location, and it uses the universal converting time so that everyone's chart is pulled from the same information. And when we pull it together today with this session, I'm going to try to get through the big three with human design. That would be your type, which is the most powerful part of your chart. It's all about your energy, how it's used, the strategy to use your energy, and how to know if you're in alignment or not. And then we'll move into your authority. And inner authority for human design is really about making decisions that aren't from your head, like we're taught, but running all decisions through your most valuable player. And I'll explain that here in a moment. And then if we have time, we'll dive into your personality profile. Hopefully we'll be able to touch on all those points. And I just want to leave it open to you that if something doesn't make sense, or if you have questions, you just want to clarify, like cut me off and we'll talk about it and take a minute, because I want to make sure that when we're done today, this isn't just, oh, cool, that's a neato thing that you shared with me. I would love for it to actually make a validation for you, or give you something tangible and practical that you can apply today. That was the big aha for me with human design. It was a fresh approach. So, all right, let's break this down. So just at a glance, you probably noticed that your chart has shapes that are colored in and some that are not colored in. And then there's lines that have color as well. Based on where you have color, it tells us what your type, your authority, and the different gifts or synergistic gifts that you have to bring to the world. And while we won't be able to get through the whole chart, in fact, I'm like 2.5 years into studying my own chart, and I still am learning new things, which is wild. We can get through the things that really make a big difference. So your type is called the projector, and the projector type is the wise guide of the collective human race. They're the ones that can look at what other people are doing and see things from a higher perspective. It's like, you could be more efficient here, or improve what things are doing. When I say that, does that make sense to you? Like, you can see where people are just like overworking or getting it wrong. Does that come pretty naturally to you?
Yeah, and I've been told that they're like you're just very wise. And
Mhm.
so that's in my head. That's where I just don't understand why so and so doesn't get what I get, like, or why this just seems so like obvious and it should be this or whatever. And I don't know where I get that from. Intuitive wisdom or something, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's spot on. It's true. There is a sense of wisdom, and I can imagine when you just see it so naturally that it can be like confusing when people don't. Like, why don't you see this? Is so obvious to
Yeah.
me. But it's a gift that you have to bring.
Yeah.
So the projector, I have this car analogy that really made sense to me. Projectors would be like the steering wheel if you're building a car with all the energy types. So the steering wheel keeps you on the road. It can help you get there more efficiently by taking the right turns. It's so important to have projectors. You have this fantastic gift for seeing how things can work better. And one of the big reasons why is that you're what's called a non-energy being. So in an energy world, right? All of our training, all of our schooling, everything that we've been through in this society has trained us to do things, to work an 8-hour day or whatever. And as a projector, that's not really your way to overwork and get burnt out. You don't really get your energy from doing things. You get your energy from improving them and feeling successful about, oh, I made that better. What's important for a projector to know is if you're acting like a generator, meaning you're doing all of these things and you're working a normal 9 to 5 type job, you're probably going to feel really tired, or you might start seeing your red flag, or what they call the misalignment theme. You might also see it if you're studying human design. You might also see it as the not self theme of a projector, and that's bitterness, also translated as resentment. So
Mhm.
this can show up in lots of ways, like I'm being overworked and not appreciated. That,
Exactly.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The other time that this shows up a lot is, you have a lot of advice to give and you see things differently. And I would imagine that you've had experiences where you've told someone, hey, you should try this, or this would be really good for you. And then they don't listen to that advice for whatever reason. And it goes wrong. And whether you say it to them or not, you're like, oh my God, I knew that. I told you so. Like, duh, you should have just listened to me. And that's another big thing that can bring up bitterness or resentment. Can you think of, like, does that feel right to you?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Just with whether it's relationships with people like friends or things like that or family. And then eventually, and in my back of my head, I'm like, eventually they'll see it, So
Yeah.
I try not to be boastful and be like, I told you so, whatever. I mean, it's hard to be that way with being a parent to a young child. My daughter's 6, and like we were sitting around the fire pit at Easter, and I told her, "Don't touch that. That's the hot end of the stick for the fire pit." And she kept moving it away and away and away, and she knew it was hot, and like multiple people told her, "Don't touch it." And then she touched it, and she burned her finger. And I try not to be like, that's a kind of an obvious thing. It's not like I have an intuition about something, but it's just like I had to word it so that she gets it. Like, okay, well, what did we learn from that? But I try to be more considerate and not like I told you so kind of kid.
I love that you shared that story. I think it's a great example. And it's such a good example of how knowing your type and knowing your kids' types can really assist in communication and making things feel a little bit easier. So no matter what, as a mom of a young kid, like you're going to have these things, right?
Mhm.
But you can leverage your type in certain ways. So back to like your misalignment thing, when you're feeling resentful or bitter about like someone not listening to you or you not being recognized for how you're helping or how you could help, you're just not being seen or heard, then you can use your strategy. So a projector strategy is to wait for an invitation. And breaking that down, you have only so much energy to give, right? And you're going to get your energy when you follow your bliss and when you're invited to share. So when someone says, Rosemary, what do you think about this? You will, if you have advice on that topic, you will have a boost of energy. It's not going to deplete you to share that advice. Even if you talked for an hour, it would be, all of that energy would be there for you. That's how you fuel up as a projector, is being heard, being seen. And so the strategy of waiting for an invitation can look like someone giving you a job offer, or your little coming to you and saying, Mom, can you help me with this? And then you help her and she's going to be like, wow, my mom's amazing. But a lot of times as an adult, we don't have people coming up to us being like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? But in day-to-day conversations with your partner, your family, your friends, you may just get this spontaneous, like, ooh, I think I need to tell them this, or I watched this documentary and that's going to help them with what they need, because you're just constantly naturally wanting to make their lives better. It's just a gift you have. So if they're not saying, hey, have you watched a documentary that would help me out? Then it feels like you're stuck waiting for an invitation. But there's fun little hacks that you can learn and get really good at as a projector. So it would sound something like this. And it's so simple. It's almost silly that this little tweak can make such a difference. But it can be something like, hey, I actually have an idea for you. Would do you want me to, can I share that with you? And then it tees you up for them to say, yeah, well, I want to know what you think, because they probably do. But what happens with a projector that shares before they get permission to share is it's more likely for that person not to hear it, to not recognize it as sound advice, to just think it's conversation and not support. It's And if you really feel strongly about helping someone, even your daughter, you can find ways, even though she's young, to say, like, ooh, I have an idea that I think you might like. Can I share it with you? And like getting her permission. It sounds silly to say that about a kid, but that little tweak can make such a difference. So basically you're teeing yourself up so that they're going to be like, yeah, yeah, what do you have to say? Or what do you think? If they're not doing it naturally, then you can make them do it. Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, my daughter's she asks questions almost pretty much daily. I'll say, let's do this, or we're going to do this. This is what we're doing today. And she's like, that's a good idea. Like she says that a lot now. And so I think she's like open to that
Yeah.
and like learning constantly. And so that would be, yeah, I think that I've learned just as a mom, a first time mom too, just adjust the way I talk to people just from with her. What it is, the saying goes, you're not gonna get bees with the honey. You want to be sweet to people, your energy too. If we're having a bad day, like your kids see you, they're so excited to see you. Like, even if they saw you a few hours ago, like, and they don't like hold grudges yet. And you just smile and just trick yourself that it's going to be. And I always tell her, you're going to have a great day today at the bus stop. Instead of saying, have a good day, I'm like, you're going to have a great day. Project that out there. And so it's hopefully instills in her, like, okay, I am. Mom said I'm going to have a good day, and because they don't forget. Didn't you tell me 2 weeks ago that we're doing blah, blah, blah today? And so
They
they're
don't
like,
forget anything,
okay.
do they?
No, I think that the way we go about things. And I never thought about like how openly gives giving advice. I feel like people, when they talk to me, they kind of want to know what I have to say,
Yeah.
but I guess I should just
Yeah,
wait and see.
that little exchange of energy, getting their like quote unquote permission or getting them to invite you, it makes a difference. I've experienced that like just with my boy as a projector. And so I know he needs to be invited. I made that switch from, hey, it's time for dinner to, hey, bud, would you like to come on down to dinner? It's acknowledging him and seeing, hey, your time is valuable. Come on into the space. It's something that he needs. And so if you're not getting it, then you can figure out a way as an adult to get those invites in. And it's something that you'll play with. And it'll be interesting if you'll start to recognize, oh, I'm about to say this, like, oh, hold on. Let me see if I can real quick get permission. And it can be just be part of that same conversation. It doesn't have to be awkward. It's like, oh, I have an idea. Can I share it? It can be that simple. Let's break down highlights for projector type that maybe we haven't seen. So I've talked about the red flag or the misalignment theme being when you're feeling bitter, you're feeling resentful, or like I'm not seen, I'm not feeling heard. The green flag, or to know that you're doing it right, is when you feel recognized, when you feel success. That's the signature theme for projectors. So if you're not feeling successful most of the time, there's something off. Either you're trying to guide people and they're not listening, or you're feeling ignored, you're overworking. So I had mentioned that like working a 9 to 5 may not be your way. It doesn't mean that you need to work less. It's just you work differently. You have this bird's eye view, much like a leader would not be in the day-to-day business transactions. They would be able to support everybody doing the business transactions to make sure that it's working efficiently and that it runs like a well-oiled machine. If someone's missing, that you know how to get that covered, and you just have a higher perspective. It's not that it's more valuable than another role, but that is the role. And so you can work in very, very focused, quick spurts. You have the ability to do in 2 hours what maybe a generator would do in 8 hours. And so if that's not working for you and you're feeling burnt out or depleted by work, whether it's at home or at a job or anything like that, then it's something to consider, like, how can I set myself up for success where I'm preserving my energy and working in a different way, in a focused way. A lot of times a projector, like, so I'm not a projector, so it's more intellectual for me to understand this, but you might feel this. It's like a projector can step back, look at the big picture, plan, get the ideas, and decide what is going to be most efficient. And then when they actually sit down to do the thing, it doesn't take long at all. And there's no reason for you to do busy work or use up any of your energy on things that are not something that is part of your gift. So it's just something to consider. rest and being alone is another big tip for you. If you're feeling depleted, if you're feeling overworked, feeling stuck, having an alone place. Maybe it's in your house, maybe it's on a lake, maybe it's anywhere that you can go and retreat, even for just a short time, to get out of anyone else's energy, right? From your animals to your kids and favorite people. You have to protect yourself and re-energize by being alone. Taking a nap alone might even help. Does all of that resonate, or is there anything that I said about the projector that you're like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I agree. I know I'm like not really good with getting a ton of rest because I'm a night owl and I my creative juices go like at late at night and I'm like, oh, I need to do this or this. And then it's like my me time and we take care of everyone, get my daughter to sleep. And it's finally me time. And I'm guilty of like scrolling or catch up on emails or whatever I have to do, making lists just to get stuff done because that's like my me time. And sometimes he'll want to take her to the playground on the street and I'm like, okay, you guys have fun. And I'm just sitting here, whether I'm just like binging a show that I like or just sitting and just
Mm-hmm.
being quiet. I just need to decompress from work and just a day. I do
Yes.
like that a lot. And but then I'm like I'm a go person. Like on the weekends, I can run 50 errands in one day, and my husband is a homebody and he would prefer to be home. So I'm curious to know like what his and my daughter's
Yeah, and it
takes
is,
are.
it's so fascinating. If you're anything like me, that's like the first thing I did once. I was like, oh yeah, I need to, now I understand.
I
I
need
need
to
to do
do that.
that. And it is so fun. One of the things that I'll do with clients is, so like usually we have the full reading and we break down your chart. And then if you're still hungry for more, there's so many little pieces, like we can talk about how to show up in your business or what you're looking for in this role, or connection charts is why I mentioned it. Is I can put charts together, or here's what you want to watch out for, here's where you have these dissonant things that are going to feel like bumping heads, and just knowing about them can be really helpful. It makes so much sense. So it really can help with that kind of thing. Good. Well, I'm glad you're feeling like it resonates. And so I'll provide this little sheet because it has more than what we've talked about on it. But overall, as a projector, if you're not getting invitations, like just remember you have wisdom to share and you can put yourself out there. Hey, I have something to say. I'm going to share it, whether that's like on social media or in at work or whatever. I have something I would like to contribute. Now, if someone chooses to listen, then they self-select to, like I invite that information in. But you never want to hold back if you do have wisdom to share. But in those relationships, always best to ask for or wait for an invitation. And I didn't mention this, but what happens on the other side? If you're giving advice or you're telling someone what they quote unquote should do to make it more efficient from the best place, if they are in a place where they're not ready to receive that, it can feel very like penetrating, or please don't look at me. I'm not comfortable with this being exposed. Like, no matter what it is, it could just be simply that they don't know how to take criticism, right? And that's not your problem. But if they're not ready to hear it, then they just won't hear it. That energy exchange is really important to remember. Okay, you ready to jump into authority?
Sure.
So once you're working with your energy types, then you've got, we're trained to choose things that are smart, that are wise, that are, we're working smarter, not harder here, right? Which is all great. It's nice wisdom. But our body and the inner, like the bodies that we're given, human design is all about like our body graph. Mind is one piece, but our body has an authority that says, hey, this is right for you. And so even if sometimes you might have a decision that needs to be made and it's smart, it's quickest, it's the most financial sound advice, or it can be all the right things, and you can still feel resistance to making that decision. And then you can overthink and keep it in your mind, like, why am I hesitating? What is this? And it's probably your inner authority being like, hey, check with me, please. And it's often ignored. And then we don't know where we went wrong. Yours came up as a splenic authority that's all about safety and security. And so basically it says, hey, let's stay safe out there today.
Yeah.
And whenever there's just something, it could be a big decision or it could literally be like turn right or let's go the long way when you're in the car is spontaneous, like, I think I'm going to go this way today. It could simply be that your inner authority, this splenic authority, is saying like, let's don't do that. That doesn't feel safe to me. And so learning to listen, it's almost like a little quiet voice that tells you one time. It feels like a gut intuition as we know it intellectually. It's like, hey, let's go down the alley to the left, not the right. Like there's something. And my favorite example of this is from Finding Nemo, when Dory, who can't remember things very long, right? They come up to this trench. She knows, hey, we should go through it. But her buddy fish is like, no, I feel like we need to go over it or around it. And she's like, no, something's telling me we need to go through it. And then she doesn't listen to that inner voice, and they get into the jellyfish issue. I mean, they made a fun game out of it. You know this movie, hopefully.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Only you can know what it feels like in your body, but once you know, hey, I have something that is in my body that's going to tell me if something's safe for me. And it's not necessarily safe physically all the time, although a lot of times it is. Like, is this food going to keep me safe? And you'll get like a little gut, and you could practice with this. You could literally have like a piece of fruit and a piece of candy and be like, which one is best for my body, and see if you get a little hit of feeling in your body. Because I mean, intellectually, you know the answer, but are you able to drop into your body and notice? So you can practice with it like that. But the spleen is always asking you, like, is this healthy? Is this safe? And then for bigger, like intellectual decisions, you're like, well, it doesn't really apply when it comes to a decision about a job or something like that. Your spleen may even say, is making this choice going to lead me to a safe and secure future that I know is right for me? So it could go a little beyond. But for the most part, your day-to-day stuff, it's like your body just knows. And if you listen and get really in tune with it, you may even have some experiences like maybe you get a hit and it says, I need to go to the chiropractor. I don't really hurt that bad. Why do I think I need to go to the chiropractor? Well, that would be your spleen going, hey, let's fix this before it happens. Or, like little examples like that. Does this resonate, or do you happen to have an example of, or something you're thinking about with this?
Yeah, I think I had like back issues like after I got married, and I just like lower back issues, and I'm like, what is going on? And because of that little tingling of like feeling, I got it checked out and it uncovered more things. I'm like, wow, because I listened to my body and listened to my intuition. And not only that, but just like my motherly intuition. I really think that we should take her to the urgent care or take her to ER. And then she had like croup, and she had RSV, and we're like, I'm just so glad I listened, and
Yeah.
I, never like not listen to that. I don't want to be like downplaying it. I'm like, for her, it doesn't matter the amount of money, like her health is on. Thank God I did. And I was like, maybe it's just my motherly instinct, but
It's probably
and
both. You've got a better awareness than maybe the intuition of a mom, but you got both, right? I agree with you. I think that moms kind of know, but I wonder if you have the opposite as well, where you kind of had the gut, the knowing that you should do this, your body gave it to you, and you didn't make that decision. And you'll know that that's true because you'll be like, I should have done that. Oh, I knew it. I knew I should have done that. And it's like a regretful thing.
Yeah, it happened last weekend. We got tickets just purposely for the Cardinals game for their giveaway last week because we really wanted the jersey. And we wanted to get some other things done in the morning. And going against, like, instead of getting up early, I'm like, we all could use some more sleep. And I went against, I should have just gone in this direction instead of this direction. And we missed out. And it was just like money lost. We just went there, went to every gate and couldn't get the jersey. And I just knew better. Normally I listen to myself. What did I do? I'm just like, oh, I just knew it. And like I was driving down there thinking, we'll be fine, right? I ate my words that day. Just listen to myself.
Yeah.
So
Gosh, I love everything you're saying. I'm like, oh, you're just such a great example of a splenic projector. Like, thanks for driving it home for us. What I find is that a lot of people, when they start to mature, as long as they are open to personal growth and they've been trying to be their best self, without knowing about human design, they're probably going to start living and leaning on that body awareness, that authority. They're going to know this stuff is true. by the time they grow up. What I love is if you know about it and you can use it as a strategic way to tweak some things that maybe don't feel as easy, that you can help yourself fast forward to that person you want to be just by experimenting with something as simple as like finding out, can I get permission to share this information so that that gives me more energy instead of depletes me? Can I listen and just really remind myself that I can trust my inner knowing, even if it doesn't make sense logically? The last piece, and we'll spend a couple of minutes here talking about it, and there's always so much more that you can learn from the chart, but the third piece of the big three that you want to know that are like just the most powerful things that you can take action on with your chart is the personality. And they call it profile lines. Everyone gets 2 lines. The first one is your conscious personality. It's kind of how you show up, and it's the one that most likely you're going to resonate with the most. The second number is your unconscious side. It's like people might see this in you more than you see it in yourself. Although, just like I said before, a lot of times by the time, 40-ish, 30 to 40-ish, people are like, yeah, I see both. So your profile is a 3-5. Basically, it just means that you're the scientist that meets the leadership potential, the problem solver. And just in a nutshell, a 3, so your conscious personality, what you're meant to show up like, that role that you're playing, is you're the teacher, you're the scientist, you're like learning things by doing. And maybe this meant as a child that you learned the hard way, or you had to figure things out the hard way. Maybe you weren't able to really get the wisdom that you have now just by learning it in your mind, but you actually had to go through it. Most likely the places where you feel like, oh, I'm a failure, or I made that mistake, oh, I wish I wouldn't have made that mistake. Most likely those situations, those circumstances, those ones that were hard on you are the ones where you have the most solid wisdom to share with other people. And you're really meant to share like, hey, I already did this 15 ways wrong, so let me save you some time and do it this way. You're just here to experience life and really like get out there and do it. So some of the things you were saying, like, I like to go out and have these experiences. That's very much a 3-line type of thing. And the 5 piece of it is a problem solver. So people probably see you, and the first thing they're going to experience from you is, wow, she's really good at figuring things out. She can take charge. Wow. And some of the things you're talking about, like advocating for your daughter and stuff, that kind of shines there. But the 5 is someone who has a savior energy. Like people feel like, oh, okay, if Rosemary's there, then I'm going to be all right. She can help me figure this out, or she can help me with this problem that I have. And you probably have people coming to you and saying like, I think you can help me with this, or what do you think about this? And it flows nicely with being a projector as well. Does that personality profile seem to resonate with you generally?
Yeah, and with like I work in a team setting, and there's multiple teams in my work. I'm also on the activities committee at my work, and people come to me a lot for advice or something. And like that something came up yesterday, and I'm like, they came just to me and be like, this is what I would do, and this is how I'd go about it if I was to take on this event. It's supporting something that not everyone may not agree upon it, but yeah, I think it's weirdly enough, like just being a mom, just switching the way I go about things so she doesn't grow up, so to speak, messed up like I did. It's like I grew up with a parent at a young age. My mom just was very strict, and I grew up honestly like having a lot of bitterness. I'm just like, oh, she was such a nag and everything. But now, like, as I've gotten older and as when I became a mom, I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, how did she raise 11 kids as a widower? And like, how in the world she's my hero. I just wish I had appreciated her at a younger age. And before it was just like, oh, the struggle is real. But I mean, she did the best she could, and we do the same here. And I try to tell my friends that if they're struggling or if there's something going on, I'm like, you know what, you're doing a great job. And I've had instances where people have given me the looks in the store when my daughter throws a fit, and then there's 2 times in the last like 6 months, where one where we're leaving the store and she's in the cart kicking and screaming because she didn't get her way. The lady was in front of me and she kept walking. She kind of looked back and looked back, and then she looked back. She goes, "You're doing a great job. Keep on." It just meant the world to me. And I was like,
Yes.
and I almost cried. And I was like, thank you. And I'm like, see, Audrey, see what mommy is not too bad. It tugs at my heartstrings. And I've told my husband some of these things that we do for her or give her, it might be because I didn't get it growing up. And it's just like I'm healing my inner child. And like, I'm like living my childhood again through hers and things that I didn't get and I didn't do. And so it's not called spoiling. It's just like I'm fulfilling like things that of my inner child. And so he's, oh, okay. And he's probably like, what?
No, I think a lot of people can relate to that. And our kids teach us so much. I get so much wisdom from being a mom. And then that fear is real of like, I don't want to mess them up. I don't want them to have to go through it. And we don't get to control all of that. But I love how you shared today. Just, you do have a lot of wisdom. I think it's very clear that you have a lot to offer your friendships, your family, anyone you meet. So I'm so glad that we got to dive into this. Is there anything else, specific questions that are coming up? I mean, there's so much more that we could dive into in your chart, just a little taste here so you can see if it's something that can support you. So
yeah, I do want to, definitely interested in learning more and even like unfolding my daughter and my husband's, charts, and just so that we can interact better. And learning that my daughter is on the spectrum, like learning that last year, and I've had to adjust the way I talk to her because she doesn't think the same as, and sometimes I will openly give advice or say something, but most of the time, from what you said, I do have to wait for an open invitation or like a little nudge or something like, oh, okay, well, if you want to say anything or if you have any input about this. So I didn't realize I was doing that.
So the innate wisdom to follow that already. That's great. Well, a big thanks to Rosemary for letting us record and share her reading. If it sparked anything in you, even if that's not your type, I want to hear about it. Remember, you can get entered to win our next free mini session giveaway through the month of May. When you screenshot, tell us what you think. Make sure you tag me so that I can get your entry in there. Or you can join us over at the Facebook group and share as a post in there and what you took away from our conversation or what resonated with you, or even questions that you have. So I can't wait to hear from you, and I hope that you have a fantastic day. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Inspired by Design with Katie Rupert. If today's episode sparked something in you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your takeaways, subscribe, or even leave a review to help others find the show. For more tools and insights, visit my free Facebook group. And until next time, keep embracing exactly who you are and move forward one inspired action at a time.